Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Curse Gaming Team Curse post-game show for Heroes Premier League. I am Pride, joined today by, we have the wrong names for you guys, actually, on there. We have last week's. We have Fury and Sev. So welcome Fury and Sev to the show now. We'll fix that real quick. High production value right now coming onto the stream. That's fine. We'll just replace the names there really quickly. And there we go, just like that. Simple as that. So we have Gazwa. How do you pronounce that? Like, I'm sitting here before the show, I'm like Gazwiz.
Yeah, there's a lot of different pronunciations for it, but I just go with Gazwaz.
Gazwaz? Alright,
Yep.
So we've got Curse Gazwaz and Curse Grim here with us on the show. We're going to talk about Week 2, Day 1, which I think was a fantastic day for Heroes Premier League. I think we saw a lot of really awesome matches, and we saw one in particular that was really great. I think it was amazing. It was fantastic to see that come out. I mean, you see that in your solo queues. You're like, we're gonna do this, right? Like, because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever. It's a cheese strategy.
Yeah.
But then we have it brought out in competitive play out of nowhere, just randomly. And that game, of course, was Symbiote Gaming versus Vex Gaming, and the lineup was for Vex Gaming, Tychus, Tassadar, Rhaegar, Kerrigan, and Diablo. And they had banned Uther, and it's important to note that they had first pick, first ban. So they banned Uther first and picked Tychus. And then on the other side of the field, we had Symbiote Gaming, SMG, who banned Zeratul right off the bat, which was caught everyone involved a little off guard. It caught Vex off guard for sure when they were playing it. Caught the casters off guard, caught the viewers off guard, except for those who have been following SMG for a while, who've seen some of the plays and some of the strategies that they've used. I think a number of the viewers called it right from the start, knew exactly what was about to happen, and what happened was a lineup of Brightwing, Falstad, ETC, Abathur, and Zagara. You guys watched that match, right? You guys?
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Can you just explain?
Absolutely good.
Just explain what the hell happened in this particular matchup. I mean, we've got one of the weirdest, oddest lineups in any competitive match thus far in Heroes of the Storm, and somehow, well, I mean, you guys go ahead and explain it. Just.
Well, yeah, I definitely gotta admit the Zeratul ban was a bit weird, but there's usually two things associated with the Zera ban. Usually you can associate it to you kind of want to go wombo combo on your own team, so you kind of want to ban the counter to that, or you're planning to go this weird backdoor comp, which is very popular. I mean, I know my team, we've done some reiterations of it. I think we switched ETC for Zeratul. We tried it in a few pub matches. It was quite good. It needs a lot of coordination, but definitely the results can't be disproven. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, hopefully it won't get nerfed. Hopefully people will get a shot at it.
Well, Blizzard was in representation when this match was happening, and
yeah,
they didn't say anything about it. They were talking about the match, I think, beforehand. CM Trixler was in there, and someone picked Illidan, so he came out of the woodwork and was, interacting. And then this thing happened, and the CMs just kind of all shut up real quick. Just
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for example, Dota 2 had this back in the day, in its beta days, before even the backdoor protection was implemented. They had this, I believe it's 3 seconds invulnerability. Maybe Heroes will have that when it goes into beta. We'll see. But till then, this comp is looking very strong.
Yeah.
That's it.
Comp is definitely dominant. It really can get into the mental side of the enemy team. They have to worry about their base, and they have to worry about the objectives, so the neutral objectives. So, they kind of have to decide what are they going to do, because that comp can just instantly get into their base and take out everything. in a blink of an eye. It's absolutely insane.
And that's exactly what happened. Basically, the way that it worked out was I don't know who went in first. I would assume it was Abathur, perhaps, or ETC.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually can give you the rundown on that.
Oh,
You go ahead.
go for it.
How it's going to work is Avathar's going to plant his mine so you can get a little bit of vision in there. You're going to have ETC jump in, Falstad flying in simultaneously. Meanwhile, Brightwing teleporting in on the ETC, and then Zagara coming in through the Nidus worm. And after the Nidus and Zagara gets out, you're going to have Avatar clone Zagara, and then you're just going to wreak havoc on their base with all those minions. It's insane.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I just want to add.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to add that even if you ban certain heroes of this comp, it's still quite strong because you can switch some of them. I think until they add this invulnerability 3 seconds, this comp will keep coming up.
Yeah, they need to do something about it. It's way too strong.
Well, and that's just it. Whenever they originally did this, I think it was somewhere around like 6 minutes into the game. Around the 6-minute mark is when they jumped in on this, and they came in. They took out the tier 2 fort in the top lane, and then got the core down to about 20% or so before being pushed out. And then I believe it was only about 2.5 minutes after that they went back in for the second time around and finished off the core very quickly, very easily, and won the game in probably the shortest match of HPL thus far. And I think it's going to be kind of a hard-pressed thing to beat. Honestly, it was 9 minutes and 7 seconds is how long it took for SMG to take out Vex Gaming using this backdoor strategy. Now, my next question is going to be, of course, how do you stop this backdoor strategy? A lot of people are saying you got to pick up Zeratul, but in a ban and picking situation, obviously that team can ban out Zeratul very easily. You guys said that you run a similar thing sometimes where you use Zeratul. You bring him into the fold. Obviously, in his case, he's cloaking, running, and then just blinking over the gate, which is fine. So how do you stop this?
Well, I have to admit that the map was a bit in their favor. They had a Garden of Terror, so it's a very big map. So, you have to pay attention to the map, and you need to press the casting time for the Hearthstone. The map was really in their favor. They couldn't get a better map. But definitely, if you get anything else besides Garden of Terror, you're a bit at a disadvantage. Not that big, but at least you got the chances on your side. But to answer the question, yeah, there are certain picks that can counter this comp. As every game will go, of course, team coordination will always be key. But for example, Diablo is good if you can get the Apocalypse just right. That game, they didn't have a Vala. I don't think so. So a Vala could have countered that very well because of her spin. No one would interrupt her spin. Everyone was casting their stuns and knockbacks on the building, so Vala would get a full run at that. Yeah, you just got to see it. I mean, there's no real way to counter it.
Well, we were talking.
You have to counter that draft.
Yeah, we were. That was the biggest thing that came up is if you're gonna counter this, you have to counter it in the draft.
Very fast. Yeah.
And you have to once you see that ban and those first 2 picks. I mean, I think it's a little bit blinding with the Brightwing Falstad. But I think that was on purpose. I think that SMG did that on purpose because if Vex had picked up what they were doing and decided to take out ETC and Zagara or ETC and Abathur, they could have gone back to just a standard build. And Brightwing and Falstad are still viable with a multitude of different builds.
Yeah, Brightwing and Falstad are a dynamic duo, and they are the hardest part of the composition to secure due to their popularity, because the other 3 heroes, they're just really not as popular. So, yeah, it's definitely important to pick up Falstad and Brightwing first. Very universal picks as well.
Exactly. So they can, if they basically get their strategy sniped out, they're in a position where they're still going to be okay in the draft. They may not have a perfect draft, but they're going to have a decent draft and something that can be competitive, especially considering that Vex at that point would have to run something with an ETC Zagara or an Abathur Zagara or ETC, whichever way direction they go to try and break up that draft.
I just want to add that both Falstad and Brightwing have Bribe, so they could have steal jungles as well. So they got a bit each aspect of the game taken care of.
Yeah, that's what makes them so universal, and that's what's so good in Heroes is those universal picks. Because right now, no custom games. We don't know what map we're gonna get. You need to have universal picks.
Well, as we do know, and speaking, my final thought on this whole SMG Vex thing is that, as I said before, I think SMG played the draft amazingly well. A very, very good draft on their part. And, I mean, if you think about it in terms of Vex, they have a very solid draft as well. Just, you gotta ask yourself, did SMG give that draft up to them? Because,
yeah, I felt a bit sad for them, I have to admit.
Because they had
I knew it as soon as I saw this. Yeah. I mean, I saw it as soon as the Zeratul was banned. It's like, well, Wombos are they're not as popular as they used to be, so this could be a backdoor. And I felt so sorry for them because it didn't really seem like they know what was going on. So the enemy team had that advantage.
They were in chat and they were talking about they had no idea that they had seen it before, but they didn't imagine that they would try and do it in competitive play like that, and it was completely surprised and shocked them overall. So the next thing I want to go into a little bit is that we have the client going down for the next week and a half or so, about 10 days or so, starting on the 29th. And that means that HPL in itself will not, the players won't be able to play the games, the client will be down, no replay system, nothing at all. So what we're having to do, or what we are doing, is we have all the teams right now, that's why we don't have an interview today. All the teams right now are busy as hell playing out the next 3 weeks of games, so that whenever it comes down to HPL Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we're right there with you. We can still cast those games and broadcast those matches. Keep something from Heroes still active and live while the game is down. And then, of course, that extra week is to give teams the ability to jump back into the game and get the heroes that they need leveled back up and having not being talent gated and all that good stuff. But we also have some rumors circulating that customs will be introduced once it comes back live. We don't know if that's true or not. We definitely hope that it is, and if it is, there will definitely be some differences in how games are played, when games are played, and a lot of the rules will be different as well. So I'm excited if they do, but we have a plan either way, whether they bring in custom games or not. With that being said, though, keep on tuning in to HPL for all that good stuff. Let's talk a little bit before we go about these other 4 games. We had Quality Control versus Mouse Sports. You guys notice anything? I mean, that just looked like a very standard game to me.
Yeah, Quality Control definitely had some very high-tier picks. I can't believe they got away with that. I mean, I would have banned at least 2 of them. I'm just very shocked. Stuns galore. But definitely Quality Control had map domination because of those picks. Yeah, especially with that Falstad bribe. That was he could just roam around, dominate. Nothing you can do, really.
I think Quality Control, they have high damage, high stuns. They realize that, Mouse Sports, they're playing a Lust comp. Lust comp really excels 10 and up because, it's pretty cooldown based. They were playing very aggressive Quality Control and really trying to dominate the map before that happened. So I think that's really, what ultimately gave them the edge, is their aggressive playstyle early on.
Yeah, they could afford that because of their comp.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very strong comp.
And then the other EU game of this particular day was My Insanity versus Playing with Pain is Pain. Lots of P's. We call them triple P. Just because Playing with Pain is crazy. Playing with Pain is Pain. It also had a really good lineup there, but we had a shocking pick in this game. No. This is the game that Illidan made his Heroes Premier League debut upon, and he wrecked. He did. He was awesome, and you have to ask yourself, is that just MYI being the dominant EU team that they are, or is that PPP just giving it up?
Well, the
Yeah.
map was in their favor for Pain. They had Haunted Mines, I believe,
Yes,
Yep.
Haunted
which is a
Mines.
two-lane map. So to get EXP will take some time. So if you're waiting for your ult, you're a bit at a disadvantage. You need to stall the game till you get to level 10. This is where Illidan really strives, early game. So you can go for those early ganks. But definitely, it's quite interesting to watch. I've never seen Illidan and Chen roam around and just jump on one target. It's very odd, but first time for everything. But even in the picks and bans were pretty traditional. I guess both teams figured that they'll just go for level 1 giants, because none of them really had a gank comp. Maybe some roam, but not 100% gank, so we just figured they'd go for level 1. So yeah, definitely the map was favored to Insanity. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, especially since they needed the experience because again, another Lust comp and they really need to get to level 10 and get on to their ultimates so they can, win fights. But my Insanity really, I think they had the more dominant comp early game because typically Lust comps, they're a little cooldown reliant even early game. You have Tassadar with his Lightning Storm, which just if you don't have CC on somebody and it's not taken on them, it's just not going to do too much. And the sustain that my Insanity had early game was just completely dominant. So I think that's ultimately why they were able to, beat out the other team.
I would agree with everything that you just said there. I don't think there's a whole lot I can add to that, honestly. So let's move it on to TSF versus Resurgence. Team Snowflake versus Resurgence. I think this showed one thing to me personally, and we talked a little bit about this before we started recording here. But I think this showed that Resurgence, even though they're one of these quote unquote unheard of teams or no name teams, can hold their own. They may have lost, and they have lost both the games that they've played so far. But you have to keep in mind that due to the seeding, Resurgence has a really, really tough schedule. They're playing, I think, 4 in a row of the top 4 teams going into this thing, projected to win the league as a whole. And so, but they've held both of those teams to really, really close games.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that Resurgence is making a name for themselves, that they could be sort of that team that comes along later on in the league, week 5, week 6, week 7, and have a major upset over somebody, and there you have it. Possibly knock a top tier team out of the finals.
I mean, they're an excellent team, and now's the time too to sort of play and learn because earlier is better. That way, later down the road, the more important stuff you can win that, and they do show their strengths. They are a very, very strong team. They did really hold their own.
100%.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the Rhaegar ban. Definitely, no one wanted to go Lust with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely Snowflake going for that shield comp, which we're seeing of more and more. It's the more safe route, I'd say.
Very universal.
But, yeah. It was a very back and forth game, I must admit.
Yeah.
It's quite enjoyable to watch. Fantastic.
Both teams did great.
Definitely my favorite match out of the 5.
Yeah, it was really good. Both teams did really well.
And our last match for today, it was our last match we're going to talk about, but it was the first match of the day, which was 2-Arc Iliad versus Glorious. Now, before we jump into the match, I do want to note that if you do watch HPL tomorrow, you'll notice that a good majority of the players on 2-Arc Iliad were playing, or are going to be playing, on 2-Arc Odyssey. And you'll also notice in our little pre-show hype package video that it flashed Team Descent up there. Meanwhile, of course, Team Descent hasn't been in HPL, so where did that come from? Well, basically what's going on is that 2-Arc Iliad and 2-Arc Odyssey have merged into one team, And that left a void in the schedule, of course, being one team down with 2-Arc Odyssey being out of the flow. We, of course, re-invited Team Descent, who was one of the original 8 invitees, to join, and they accepted vigorously right in there. Yes, we want in. Let's do this. And so you will be seeing their first games coming up in week 3. And so there's that. That's kind of what's going on there. So just wanted to make that point before we started talking about this matchup. So how was the matchup? Glorious 2-Arc Iliad. How do you think that went over?
Well, the bans were quite normal. Nothing too special or surprising. But I was surprised to see the Stitches after the sprint nerf. Usually you don't see Stitches anymore. Just sad. But yeah, definitely Glorious going for that shield safe comp. A typical task Lust pick we see quite often. But unfortunately, Lust requires some CC to get your auto attacks off. Usually you would see, in a Lust comp, you would see a Arthas for that lockdown, the Aura Slow, and maybe, if the situation is good, a Syndragosa. But yeah, 2-Arc definitely is going for that gank-oriented comp. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's excellent game by both of them. I mean, with again with Lust, you really got to get to 10, and that's really where you start to spike. Unfortunately, I think they had a little mistake early game when they invaded the Knights, when 2-Arc invaded the Knights, and they, unfortunately died there. But that kind of created a domino effect, and Glorious Gaming seemed to be able to capitalize, and they just got a lot of objectives and cursed out 2-Arc a lot with the tribute. And yeah, I think the dominoes just fell on 2-Arc, but it was still a really good game, back and forth.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a fantastic start to HPL day 2,
yeah,
or week 2, day 1, and honestly, I think this was the better collection of matches so far. I do want to point out, though, that as we get deeper and deeper into the season, games are going to get much closer. You're going to start seeing people like Glorious having to face Snowflake, and Symbiote having to face Wildfire. So that's, I think week 5 is what I'm calling Death Week, which is basically, I think week 5 we have those matches happen in week 5. So I'm excited for that week. But as we start building up, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of really interesting things come out. And I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more risk-taking as well with some of these lower... I don't want to say lower teams, but some of these lesser-known teams that are coming in here, and they want to make a name for themselves, right? They want the community, and they want the viewers to know who they are. That's the team that did this or this. And I think that this week was sort of a precursor of that, because we did see some really interesting compositions and some really interesting tactics, and I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that as these lesser known teams try and make a name for themselves and try and make a power play and take out one of these bigger teams.
Yeah, now it's definitely the time to make the name, and that's what's good about the HPL and all this stuff. Not only is the competitive scene developing, but all the teams and stuff, they can really come in and try and secure a name for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, though, like I said, we don't have an interview this week, simply because the teams are just really busy trying to get everything in for the ECS versus Spheres having their championships this week, and so teams are busy with that, as well as we have 3 matches per team going over through HPL. So really busy for the teams right now. And with that being said, we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. EDT for day number 2 of week 2. I'm not sure which of these fabulous cursed gentlemen will be with us tomorrow night, but we shall definitely see. So, where can they find you guys? Who you need to shout out to?
Well, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Cooler Master, Alienware, Azubu, Astro, and Loot Crate. Honestly, without those guys, we probably would not be where we are today. You can follow me personally on Twitter at CRSGrim. I usually upload guides and everything game related. And I'd like to thank Kevin Nocky and Four Court Jester. They did a terrific job casting these great games. I really had a blast, and I hope they keep going at it because it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same. Shout out to, Team Curse Gaming. They're a really good organization. I'm just glad to be a part of Team Curse Gaming and the sponsors as well. Just like Grim said, without them, we really couldn't be here. So thank you so much to them. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter as well at CRS Gazwaz.
Right on. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on and talking Heroes Esports with me today.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
No
Thanks.
problem at all. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
All right. See you.
See ya.